Oh, welcome everyone to episode 9 of Buzz with yours truly, Momma T. We are coming to you live from Untouchable Productions Studio here in McIntosh, Minnesota. We are housed in the same historical building as Little Bobby's Bar and Grill. Speaking of history, our first guest tonight is from the Minnesota Music History channel. How are you doing today, Neal Bond?
Fantastic, Momma T.
Oh, it's a hot one in the studio today, folks. So if you see me dripping, there's no AC in here. So can you tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into music in the first place?
Let's see. I've been a songwriter since I was 16, and that was maybe 10 years ago. Just kidding. No, I've been around the block for a while. Anyway, I started the channel or the Minnesota Music History Channel Network on Facebook back in 2015. And I wanted to have a place where instead of having to deal with everyday dribble and drabble, people would be able to come and relive some good old memories. I've been working with Gene Anderson from TwinCitiesMusicHighlights.net. And I'll tell you what, this lady has got every piece of information about Minnesota music from the territorial days up until 1974.
Wow.
Every concert, every venue, every big event. I mean, she is a walking encyclopedia. And so basically, I've been the promotion arm for her stuff. And of course, anything beyond 74, I guess I'm on my own. What I've tried to do is to every day there are 10 to 15 posts of what happened in Minnesota, and it can go all the way back to 1848 with Mazurka Hall, where a Norwegian violinist came in to St. Paul to play. I mean, she's got all that data back to there, all the way up to, who played in town a couple of years ago. Like, for instance, today at the Riverview Supper Club, Stanley Turrentine, the great saxophone giant of all times, played in 1980. Also today, in 1974, Bad Company was at the St. Paul Civic Center. Bet you didn't know that, huh?
I didn't. That was the year I was born, coincidentally. So.
Wow. 1974, David Bromberg, great blues guitar player, acoustic blues, fantastic, was at the Marigold Ballroom. Kiss was at the Civic Center in 1996. And in 1982, Duran Duran was at First Avenue.
Oh, wow.
That's what's up there today. Now, tomorrow, it's a whole different story. We also have features on Minnesota artists. What we tried to do is to feature everybody who's made Minnesota famous. Today's feature goes back 9 years, but we featured Wee Willie Walker while he was still alive. And what a player he was. Man, oh man. Also had a feature on classical singer Linda Adair. we had the complete lineup of everybody who played First Avenue in July in 1988. That's up there today, too. And Gene put some features on the Hotel Nicollet. These places are long gone, but Hotel Nicollet, Bob Crosby, Bing's brother, played there back in the 40s. I don't know whether everybody knows the Nankin restaurant. That's been gone forever. They used to have music there. And so there's a nice feature on that. We've got a guy by the name of Bruce Arneson who puts features up. And today he put a tribute up to Rico Rosenbaum, the guitarist from Gypsy, who we lost way too soon at 35 years old. And there's a nice feature up on him. But there's all kinds of stuff there. And every day it's different. Every day it's a lot of fun. And, if your subscriber base comes down there, I guarantee you they're going to have a good time.
Well, what if somebody doesn't have Facebook? How can they find all your stuff? Are you on any other platforms or anything?
Well, it's primarily a Facebook platform, although, I've been, over the last few years, I've been getting into filmmaking, and I do have a YouTube channel where they can see videos of a lot of the classic venues. And we actually put together, if you notice my t-shirt, we put together a project a few years ago called Legends, Heroes, Ghosts, and Gangsters. I did that with my musical partner, Doug Noble. And it took us about 3 years to put it together. But it's a complete history, not musical history, but history of the state. And it goes into Voyagers coming over here, the founding of Minnesota. There's even a song in there called The Night St. Peter Became St. Paul. Not be aware of this, but there was a big argument. And as a matter of fact, there was a bill passed in 1858 that made St. Peter the capital of the state of Minnesota.
Really?
And what happened, and it goes back kind of to the founding of St. Paul. St. Paul was founded by a guy who ran Fountain Caves, and he was a bootlegger. And he got kicked out of Fort Snelling because all the officers were coming in drunk and late for duty. They said, you got to get out of here. So he went down, found Fountain Caves, and set up shop there to sell whiskey with your supplies. Anyway, the song is all about Pig's Eye's ghost coming back and getting with a politician at the time by the name of Jolly Joe Rollet.
Okay.
Jolly Joe Rollet was he was like a musician, wore a big scarf around his neck, and every year he would come to the state territory, wintertime, on a dog sled. Mm. Well, the year they were going to move the capital of St. Paul to St. Peter, it didn't snow. It was kind of like last year. And he had to walk 240 miles to get to the capital. But he'd come in with a dog sled always, and it was a big event whenever Jolly Joe came to town. Well, Jolly Joe was a sergeant of arms at the Minnesota state capitol and for the Senate and the House of Representatives at that point. And he was the person that was in charge of getting that bill to the governor to sign. Governor of Minnesota was a guy by the name of Willis Gorman, and he owned a lot of property in St. Peter, so he was all fired up.
Oh, yeah.
He knew this was going to make him rich. Anyway, Jolly Joe got a hold of the bill, snatched it, and ran off into a brothel in St. Paul and hid. Everybody had to wait for 3 days, and he never showed up. They sent police out to try and get him, whatever, couldn't find him. Finally, when the session ended and the gavel went down, Jolly Joe came in with a bill. And that's why St. Paul is the capital of Minnesota and not St. Peter.
Because he wanted to go to the brothel.
History of the state. I mean, we've got it all with all the warts and all the whatever. But there's also a song on there called "One Field North Too Far," which is all about the great Northfield, Minnesota raid where the James Gang met their demise. And we've got a song in there about John Dillinger. Dillinger was actually wounded in the leg here in St. Paul and left. Interestingly enough, another interesting side note that's in the film, the night Dillinger was killed in Chicago, our little Judy Garland from Detroit Lakes was 12 years old, and she went to go see the same film that Dillinger met his demise at, Manhattan Melodrama. She had watched it 3 times because there wasn't any air conditioning in Chicago at the time, and the theater was. So she stayed all day and watched the movie over and over again. Came out, and she goes, "That guy's a celebrity. I must know him." And she went over and she asked him for his autograph. And he gave it to her.
Oh, wow.
So, and we cover the whole history of the state, the Iron Range, the massacre of the Indians, the hanging of 44 Indians, a mass hanging in Mankato. That's all covered in the film and in the soundtrack of the film. So if they want to watch that, it's up on YouTube. We've had over 20,000 people watch it so far. And I'm in the process right now, and I'm putting these up a little piece at a time. The other project took Doug and I, 3 years to put together. I mean, it was, and I write faster than my partner does because I basically take care of the lyrics and the melody, and he does all the sweetening. And well, I'm putting together a new film right now called Legends. Okay, we're going to go through the legends. Then we're going to do the heroes, because there was a lot of stuff we didn't get to in the other film. Then we're going to go over the ghosts. And last but not least, the gangsters. There's going to be songs about each of them. And I've got quite a few of them. I just put one up on the Trashmen, who played yesterday at the Duluth Armory, which was really fun. We drove up there. Gene and Steve Barrich and I drove up there. They had Tony Andreasen from the Trashmen. But I've got the newest video I've done is called The Trashman Squawk. And it's a history of the band. I've got a thing on the Castaways called The Castaways Roar. And I've got, what I'm able to do right now is I've got a virtual studio where I can actually get all the instrumentation all the vocals, everything done. And I mean, it's ready to go out when we, when we've got the money raised to promote the film and promote a live show, where I'm going to be able to hire the musicians to do it. So it's really cool. So yeah, if they want to watch us on YouTube, Neal, Neal Bond, Bond, and have at it.
I haven't even seen it. I don't know why I haven't watched it. I've known how long it's been out there. What got you into music in the first place? Were you raised in music? Did it just interest you from a young age? Did you have a lot of supporters? Your family into it?
I started out, the reason I became a songwriter more than a cover band musician was I started out, my dad, when I was 10 years old, I said, I want to play guitar. Okay. So he took me down to living in Oklahoma at the time. And he took me down to a music store and rent you the guitar and give you lessons. And so I said, well, I want to learn how to play lead guitar. So the instructor goes, well, how long have you been playing? I looked at him and went, what do you mean? That's the reason I'm coming for lessons, He said, well, usually in order to play lead, you've got to have at least a basic foundation on chords and this, that, and the other thing. But I'll try and teach you, surf music was what was happening then. And I wanted to learn Baja, I think. Well, I'll show you the lead part on that. So anyway, the 6 months went up and I didn't have any interest anymore in playing music. I figured, well, there's always sports, So we moved to Minnesota and I decided I wanted to pick up guitar again. Well, I wasn't going to take lessons. So I went down and bought a flat top Gibson. My dad goes, I'm not paying for it. You are. You go get a job part-time after school. So I washed dishes at the Ho Ho Cafe in Hopkins, Minnesota for months. Finally got enough money to buy a Gibson flat top guitar. Picked it up and learned Don't Bother Me by the Beatles. First song I ever learned. Everybody goes, well, why'd you learn that? I don't know. I like the minor chord. But, why didn't you learn I Want to Hold Your Hand? I just, it didn't seem to be like something you'd play on an acoustic guitar. So that's how I started out. And I went to Colorado, or I started promoting, speaking of that thing in Duluth, I started promoting concerts with a guy by the name of Skip Goucher up in Minnesota, still writing and still playing and this, that, and the other thing, and doing an acoustic folk act. That was one of the places that we ran concerts all the time. So that was really a lot of fun. But went to Colorado and got a contract with Mountain America Record Company, big label. But I'll tell you what, the guy was a good promoter. He got me and his record. He wrote the song called Man in His Mountain, promoted or actually mentioned in Billboard, which was pretty good for 1971. Since then, I've been racking around, sang with an 8-piece horn band. I recorded with a Island Records recording a child actor from the 50s. They did like really soft melodic jazz type things. And I played with them for a while. Came back to Minnesota, played with my buddy Doug in the Braxton Bragg Band and Shuffle Brothers on the road, and the rest is all history, I guess.
You are so good at it. Do you have any interesting stories about collecting all of this data that you got together for all of these the movie?
Well, a lot of it, Doug wrote most of the songs on the last album. I'm responsible for the newer one that's coming up, but Doug is a pretty good historian, and he also has got a good way to turn a phrase. He knows how to get the hooks out. We both, as songwriters, kind of know that it's not just putting a bunch of words together. It's like making those words work.
Right.
And, so I came up with the idea of doing. I came up with the title of the. I think it was called Ghost Legends. So anyway, it ended up with this, but I came up with the original concept of it, and that was because Doug wrote this song "One Field North Too Far," which is a hook-laden, really good standalone piece of music about the James Gang. How a bunch of Minnesota farmers with no lawman put buckshot in the rears of the James Gang and totally decimated them. Only in Minnesota.
Absolutely. Did you feel like playing anything? I see your guitar is sitting there. I think we still got a little bit of time for a little jamming if you want.
Well, I haven't put anything together. I could we run a clip? That's impossible.
Oh, I just noticed there's a comment from one of our viewers, one of our faithful viewers, Paul Testa Jr., otherwise known
as
Sweet Polly T. Yes, he's a faithful watcher of the Buzz. He says, the great Neal Bond. Man, has he got a huge history. He actually used to play with little Bobby. They were in a band together.
He's quite the musician.
Oh yes, just exciting. It's exciting to watch him. It's funny too because we were just playing. We have the bar here, and I was serving this guy, and I happened to have. I can't remember if it was Rawa Blues video on, or if it was Live from the Empire and Grand Forks, but this kid was sitting there mid to late 20s, and all of a sudden he looks up and he's like in awe. His jaw dropped, and he's nudging the guy next to him. Look at that guy. Look at that guy. His hands fly. Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. Back to you, though. You said you wrote original music back in the day, and still do for the movies and stuff. Is there any place that people can listen to it, or do you still play live now?
Yeah, they can pick up the album on Amazon or on any of the different things. I'm pretty much retired now. I will get together with Dale Strength. Once we get I basically with the album, I set up a nonprofit foundation, and with the album and the film, because of the amount of interest that we had in it, I set up a nonprofit designed to make films about Minnesota people and to help Minnesota filmmakers. So you had Bobby Drangler on, and Bobby and I have been working together. We've got a lot of interest. Bobby's talking about, perhaps putting like animated productions on all this stuff. And in terms of playing out now, I don't have any gigs scheduled at this point, but you can catch my partner or myself out working our chops out, singing karaoke at the Crossbar every other Saturday night. My partner is playing out as the Minnesota Project with another guitar player.
Okay. I love karaoke. I think well, it wasn't karaoke, but yeah, I try to go to karaoke every Wednesday night, but the place that we go to, it's kind of a hit and miss. Sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't, and helps if you call ahead, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Do you have, I mean, you've got to have some interesting road stories or stories about, like, say, what's your favorite story from all the research you did for this movie?
Okay, well, let's talk a road story, okay? I was playing with a duo after the Braxton Bragg band broke up called the Shuffle Brothers. And we were a hot duo. That was when you had rhythm units, playing drums, and it was back in the 70s. But I mean, we were really hot. And two stories. We were booking out of Minneapolis Central Booking Agency, and the guy would give us our gigs. He'd call Thursday and say, "Okay, you're playing Friday." And then, well, I don't have anything yet, but I'm working on it, that type of thing. And I'm going, well, how do you make a living doing this? Because that's what we were trying to do. So anyway, he booked us for 2 weeks down in Peoria, Illinois. So we're calling him from Peoria. And he goes, well, I don't have anything yet. Here we are, broke in Peoria, Illinois, trying to get back to Minnesota. And this guy goes, you should give Bill Rothy a call at ACA in Wisconsin. So I give him a call. I said, yeah, we're a pretty hot duo. We're down in Peoria. And guy goes, this was before they had mobile phones. This guy had one in his car. He had a big Lincoln Continental, comes down. Said, do you think they'll mind if you play the lunch hour? They had the bar closed off. It's a Holiday Inn. I'm going, well, we'll do it. And so, yeah, okay, you guys are great. We go out to his Lincoln Continental, and he gives us a year's worth of road work. He's calling. Yeah, this date. He's talking to his secretary. He goes, do you guys need to be home on Christmas? And we said, well, we'd like to be. And he goes, all right, we'll try and book him in Minnesota. He said, the only thing I don't have anything for you for the next 2 weeks, but let me work on it. He calls me up, and we were kind of doing top 10 country, top 10 rock, or pop, He goes, well, how much country do you do? And I'm thinking, well, we do
enough to get
maybe
by.
20%, He goes, well, I think I can get you down in Mobile, Alabama. And I'm going, this is the time the Easy Rider was out, the
Mhm.
movie Easy Rider. I'm like, oh my God. So back then we had a little cassette player. I put it on whatever was playing on country music. And we learned most of the country stuff that we ever did that week. He calls back and he says, you don't have to go to Mobile. Thank God, I'm thinking here, you guys play any trucker songs? Yeah, 6 days on the road, but anything other than that, no.
Well, Neal, I'm gonna your segment. We've gotten a little bit past even, and I know that you've got plenty of stories. Maybe we can have you back on sometime so you can tell me some more. It was really exciting. It was really interesting. I'm really glad I had you on. Thank you for being my guest.
All right. Well, thank you, and have a fantastic Sunday.
Hey, you too, Neal. Thanks for being here. So we will have Christopher David Hanson on here right after the break. And where's our break? There we go. We've got Elvis. Sean Wallen. Don't let anybody tell you that Elvis is dead, because he's alive and well, and he plays here at Little Bobby's in McIntosh, Minnesota every month for the rest of the year. His next date is July 26th at 7 p.m. Come out on Friday, July 26th, and come see Elvis. Then we've got him again August 31st at 5 p.m., September 28th at 8 p.m., October 19th at 5 p.m., November 9th at 5 p.m., and Saturday, December 21st. Join us at 5 p.m. for a Blue Christmas. We also have Little Bobby's Juke Joint every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Central. You can find that on Pioneer Radio 90.1 FM. You can find a link to that on our website, littlebobbybuzz.com. How are you doing, Christopher David Hanson?
I'm fantastic. I'm just hanging out on a Sunday out on the lake, and we got our prompt word for the singer-songwriter challenge today. And
what's that all about?
Oh, the singer-songwriter challenge?
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of songwriters across Minnesota, well, and now across the state and the world, I guess. But it was a little site that started online called the Singer-Songwriter Songwriting Challenge.
Okay.
This lady, Laurel, she had started it, and I don't think she had any idea that it was going to explode the way that it did. It's literally the very best songwriters in Minnesota are all on there. And then every Sunday we get prompt words. We write our songs, we turn them in, and then our peers listen to our stuff, and we get better at the craft, So we do a session every summer, and then we do a session in the winter. We get the fall and the spring to take that time off, and then in the summer and the winter we do 10 songs per session.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, it's I would compare it to lifting weights. That's what it feels like. It's songwriting is I mean, you can write off inspiration, but you don't have to have that. It's also a skill that you can just get really good at normally, and you do that by working it out like that. Just writing about anything, and you'll get weird prompt words. It's really cool. Like sometimes it'll be a photo of like an old bridge or something, and you just have to let it do its thing inside, and then you write your song. And maybe it's a good song, maybe it's not. That's one of the neat things about it too. Like by the end of every session, you've written 10 songs. Maybe 3 are keepers, maybe 2. Maybe if you get lucky, 4. But the way that I think about it is like that's 4 songs that I would maybe not have pulled out of the ether had I not been a part of that.
Right.
And and to date I've been doing it for 3 years, and I've probably written no less than 40 songs that I've kept. Probably
Wow.
300 songs, or
Well, that sounds like a great idea for anybody out there.
Yeah, it's really cool. Anybody that's interested in doing it can do it too. It's open to the public, and you know,
Free?
it's daunting at first, but I would say this: if you're an up and coming songwriter and this is what you want to do, and you want to share art with the world, and I think it's something that I would suggest anybody that has a inkling to write songs, and go do it. Even if you don't do it for a long period of time, go do it. Go throw yourself into it and see how hard the rest of these people are working at it, because they are not slacking. They are at it every day, and they are working hard at it. And it's just cool to be in that group of people. It ups your game. You get better at it, and you know, the thing that I really liked about it was it really. Well, let's back up a second. So when you turn in your song, kind of the etiquette is this, this isn't for everybody, but most of us, we don't listen to any of the songs for that week until we turn in, so that we don't get inspired by somebody else's song and you know what I mean, and follow their inspiration. So most of us do that. We wait until we finish, then we turn in, and then the second part of the group is you don't have to, but you're inclined to go listen and also put input into other people's songs. Because there's a lot of these groups out there online that have songwriting. There's songwriting pages everywhere. The problem with the songwriting pages everywhere is you'll turn in a song and you will get listened to maybe twice. You might get one comment, not this group. You will get listened to, and you will get peer reviewed, and it's wonderful, you know. So that's one of the great things about it.
Is it free?
It's free. Yeah. Wow. It's called the Singer.
What is this called? How does a person
called the Singer Songwriting Challenge? And I know it's a lot. It's kind of repetitive, but let me see if I can pull it up. And I'll show you what it kind of looks like real quick. It looks like that. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah. Okay.
Piano.
So it looks like a piano. It's got a piano keyboard. We do go just audio version goes out too. So
right. And just for you, so you can find that.
Oh yeah, I can find that.
Yeah, and it's really neat. Like, you know, when you go on there and you start scrolling through, you're gonna be like, oh, I know him, I know her, I know him, I know her. Oh my gosh. And you can hear songs written by all these songwriters all over the state. Sarah Morris is the one that got me to join. She won Singer-Songwriter of the Year last year for Minnesota. Oh, wow. So yeah, like it's good.
Okay, so now tell me a little bit about Christopher David Hanson. How did you get into music in the first place? Did you just were you inspired at a young age? Were you a child prodigy? Did you just have nothing better to do one Saturday and picked up a guitar?
That's getting closer right there. No, it was the guitar. Well, okay, music. We started writing little songs when we were kids. Like we were writing and recording songs with two boom boxes across from each other, multi-tracking since the time we were like 8 or 10, me and my best friend. That didn't mean I played an instrument, so I didn't really until like I think it was like 5th or 6th grade. They start letting you do band stuff, and I ended up doing the drum stuff maybe the end of 6th grade and whatever. It was okay. It was fun. It was more goofing off than anything. And then I had a buddy that had he had a Fender Strat and he had a Marshall half stack, and we used to ride half pipe together on our BMX bikes and stuff, and we would go in his house. He'd show me his guitar, and then one day, when me and him, we got in a lot of trouble. And one day, and one day we decided we were going to do prank phone calls, and we decided to use his effects boxes to like mask our voices and stuff. And that was it. Right when I saw that you could do all these weird little things with the guitar and the voices, I was like, I got to do this. I got to get my own effects boxes so I can do my own prank calls at home. I don't have to come and bug my buddy. And so I asked my parents if we could go and get a guitar and some pedals. And they were like, yeah, sure. So we went and we got an amp. We got a 3/4 scale Cort guitar and then no pedals. So that backfired. And then as we're driving home, my mom says, oh, and we signed you up for lessons. You'll be taking lessons every week. So the whole thing backfired. Nothing worked. I didn't have a microphone anyway, so I couldn't even do the prank calls when I got home. It was just, so I had this guitar that I didn't even really want. I just wanted to do prank calls. And now I'm signed up for lessons. And then what was really cool is that week, I got some music history from my mom. She was like, oh, and your grandfather was a guitar player in Two Harbors and played jazz. And we have 15 of his wax albums in the basement. I was like, wait, what? Are you kidding me? And yeah. And so then I found out he was just this, and all of his brothers, all of them, they were all guitar players. And I have all the wax albums now, and I put them all onto disc for my family and stuff. And it's just really cool. Like, and the really cool thing about those wax albums is my mom and her sisters are on there singing backup vocals when they were little kids.
Awesome.
It's like time traveling. It's so cool. Yeah. Yeah. And so then, and after that, like I took the first few guitar lessons, and it's just like you said, it came so natural. And I had the thing that you have to have inspiration. Like I teach guitar, and we all get little kid guitar, parents bring them in, teach them how to play guitar. And I'm like, I can't teach them if they don't want to learn. I wanted to learn. I was that kid. You couldn't get me away from it. It was actually a problem, a good problem. So that's how I got started. It was on accident.
Now, how long have you been doing it? What bands did you play with?
40 years, I suppose. So I started when I was like 12. I'm 52-ish. Yeah, 40 years or so. Bands? Oh, everything you can even imagine. Of course, it all started off with the punk bands, covering, Black Flag and, Descendants and Fugazi and all that stuff. That's how it started. And then as the guitar playing got better, I didn't really like, you kind of have to get out of punk rock because it only goes so far. And so then I got into a little bit of the metal, the Iron Maiden, and all the, the more complex guitar playing and stuff like that. And, I was an 80s kid. And I grew up on Waylon and Willie, and my sister's heavy metal, and that's what I am, a mixture of that, So, yeah. I don't even know what I was saying. Hi.
Do you have original music out there that people can find and listen to?
So much. Yeah, so much out there. Yeah, just you can just Google my name, or you can just go to my website, ChristopherDavidHanson.com. All the albums should be there. But yeah, we started off. I remember now. We started off with punk rock bands. Then we went to metal bands, and then there was ska bands, funk bands, just everything you could think of. Super heavy. I mean, the heavy bands got really heavy. Like I don't even know what we were dropped down to by the end. I think just ridiculous. I mean, we were all just playing bass guitars, but they looked like guitars. It was silliness. And then I moved up north, and that's when I finally started to do the music that I really wanted, that I felt in my heart. Like I always had this like really soulful. I could just hear what I wanted to do, and it wasn't any of the stuff I was working on. It was something soulful, something with some groove, and so I started writing. 2012, I started writing for what would become the Christopher David Hanson Band, and that started out as a nice big 7-piece band, horns, percussion, all that stuff, and that was what I wanted to do. It's crazy too, because all my friends from down in the cities, they were like, I told them what I was doing, and they were like, "What? What are you doing?" And I was like, just hang in there. It's going to be okay. Just be all right. No, and it worked out really good. And what's really strange is I just dissolved the Christopher David Hanson Band as of today.
Oh no!
We're going to finish out December. So the goal was for that band was to do it for 10 years. We did it for 11.
Oh wow!
And, I mean, we did thousands of shows, and all over the place. We got to open for tons of big bands, and it was awesome. And I just don't really want to do the bar bands anymore, like the bar scene anymore. I'm getting older. I just want to play acoustic guitar. So I've got a band that I'm working on right now called the Woodsong Souvenirs, and we'll kind of pick up the pieces of my band. Like we'll play some of the more heartfelt, slower things like that. So it's not dead. It's just transforming.
Okay.
And it'll be called the Woodsong Souvenirs after, it'll probably, we'll start playing out next summer-ish, something like that. And that'll be, something a little more low-key, a little more, I don't know, put down the beer, grab a snifter of something adult. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be on electric guitar. I'm not going to be playing telling and just none of that. It's just going to be very chill, focused on stories, focused on stacked vocals, focused on just really connecting with people on an emotional level. Maybe even the word sappy.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's the stuff that I love. Like, I love songs are my absolute favorite thing, and I just kind of strayed away from them for a long time because I didn't want to get burnt out on them. I wanted to do this. I wanted to save this kind of music till I got a little more seasoned, a little older, and I'm ready now. So
Taking a little more seriously, maybe.
yeah, and just and just doing something a little more classy, less brash, just a little more spaces in the music than trying to cram notes in. Like
Right.
that kind of thing. Something that you can lay on the couch, smoke one and listen to a whole album and still just be chill. You know what I mean? Like that kind of an album.
Yeah.
And that's really where I wanted to go with it. And it doesn't mean that we won't be playing any of the songs that we wrote. Those are mine. They're going to come out. They're going to come out at shows. I'll always play them. So yeah.
Do you have one of those? Would you got one of those songs that was like really hard for you to write, like really killed you inside when you had to write it, but it had to come out?
I write those all the time now. I actually had stopped writing those. I don't know what you'd even call it. I got like writer's fatigue about sharing personal experiences, especially because a lot of the songs that you write, if they're really personal and they hurt you, that transfers over and it makes people feel something. And of course that becomes the song that they love the most. And then they want to hear that the most. And that's the song that hurts you the most to sing. So for a while I chickened out, I'll just admit it. That's what I did. I just didn't want to write about my personal life. And I didn't, because once you give a song out, you put it out, it's the world. It's not yours anymore. You don't own it anymore.
Yeah.
It becomes the soundtrack to somebody else's life, and you don't, you can't take that back. And but I got over that fear, and I started writing again from a very, like, that's what I'm saying too, is about the my Christopher David Hanson band songs. Those came from let's get these people pumped up, let's have a party, let's go out to the bar, let's, you know what I mean? That's what those songs were really created to do. The stuff that I'm writing right now is coming from deep inside, and a lot of it's really painful. And it's this is my therapy. This is how I keep from going nuts. This is how I process my feelings and process the world around me.
And that's so much. That's how you can tell a good musician too. Like, they really expose themselves. They really make the audience, the listeners, feel what they're feeling or what they were feeling at the time when all of this happened. It's very exposing. I mean, you're putting your soul out there for everybody to see and saying, well, here, this is me. You take it or leave it, and I hope you like it.
Yeah, it's like a cappella for the soul. It's just you're there and you're naked, and it's just like, yeah. And I'm glad I went through the phase where I got scared of it for a while, because the songs that I wrote in that phase, I still wrote some good songs, but I as I looked back on them, I was like, exactly like what you said. They did not connect in the way that I would have liked them to connect. I think they did connect in the way that they were intended to connect, which was a little more shallow, a little less personal from me. But looking back on that, that's not really what I want to do. That's not why I do music. The whole reason, for this, other than the therapy side of it, is to share it. It is. For me, I'm a performer, and so the sharing part is a big deal.
Okay. So tell me about the rough times. I mean, you guys you didn't just tour in the Christopher David Hanson band. It wasn't just in Minnesota, right? You guys tour like all over the United States.
Well, I would say like 5-state, we're kind of locally regional, but yeah, there's some hard times, absolutely hard times. I think the most difficult thing about it on a personal level is the shifting around of musicians that you have to do when you're in a band, and letting people go or replacing people or pulling people out of a band that they were in, and you know what I mean, the residuals of that, because it can be kind of problematic, for a lot of things when you're looking for the the members of your bands and stuff like that. And I think that's like, personally, that's the stuff that like just tears me up inside,
Well, yeah, you get into a groove, you get used to playing with somebody, and you get that musical connection.
Yeah.
That one person, they're going to hit that every time, and then you have to reach somebody else.
And I've learned that I don't when people need to move on, I don't take it hard at all anymore. It's not like when I was a kid or anything. It's it hurts, and there is a grief to it. But the other thing that I've come to terms with is the fact that I'm built different. I started doing this right out of high school. This is all I know. And a lot of people that I play with, they're family people, and to be on the road 3 nights a week and away from the people that they love for years on end is just, it's not sustainable for them. And I could never expect that from anybody. And I don't. Whenever people want to move on, I have a grief about it, and I move on, and I would just have to say, personally though, that's the hardest part. It hurts, it's the end of a relationship, because music is a communication. When you play with these other people, you're just using this as your language to communicate with these people, and you're having this conversation on stage with these people. And like you said, you get very used to having that conversation, when the ebbs and flows, when the pauses are going to be, where all these things are going to be, and you start to work as one. You start to work as a unit, and it does. It feels like something gets ripped away when those things go away. And the other thing you learn is that the end of everything is the beginning of something else that's absolutely wonderful. So, it's true. Getting out of that comfort zone, even though that comfort zone can be amazing, you get out of it and you find, oh wow, there's a whole world of other music that I get to explore now.
Can you think of what maybe your favorite gig was? Like
my favorite gig every year is a place called Cook's Country Connection, and it's an animal rescue petting zoo, and my friends own it, and it's the place that I don't even feel like I go there and I play music once a year. I don't even know that I remember playing music whenever I don't even. It's just baby goats are running around while they're at your feet. There's like, I got to hold a baby pig in my hand last time. I played one show with a parrot on my shoulder. I got to give milk to a baby yak. It's my favorite show every year. Yeah. And we play big shows with all kinds of famous bands, but that is absolutely 100%.
That's definitely.
I would say that those bands that we've opened up for, all the big bands, they would probably go there and say that would be their favorite too. Like, it's just that cool.
Yeah, that definitely wasn't the answer I was expecting. That.
Yeah. Cook's Country Connection in Cook, Minnesota.
Where is it?
I mean, you do this long enough. It's like one day you're on a $1 million stage with $3 million worth of lights, and the next day you're on a piece of plywood by a creek, and that's the gig. That's what this is. And I would absolutely say that the big stages are not my favorite. I don't. I like them.
They pay the bills.
I like the middle type of stuff. I like my favorite stuff is kind of the sit down wine bar brewery shows. They have, like, I've noticed the people at those shows listen to the music. Like, they're not there partying. It's kind of like, it's like the new bar, right? It's more about eating, and they've got liquor, but that's not really what's pushed. It's the community that gets pushed. And so music does really well in those. I love those. Those are great. I don't know.
Can you think of the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Just stick to it. Keep doing it. That's it.
Never give up. Never surrender.
That's it. Just every single one of us. On a daily basis, I'm like, I should just hang it all up. We all do that. Every musician, like, oh, nobody even likes any of this stuff, and then you'll have a good show and you'll be like, oh, I guess it's wonderful again, But, just stick to it, I never thought anything like this would ever happen. I thought for sure I'd, be doing something else. And I don't know. You just keep doing it long enough and it starts paying bills and all of a sudden you're a professional musician. You don't know how that happened, but that's kind of what happened.
How did I get here?
How did I get here? Yeah. I would just say stick to it. I mean, if that's what you want to do, just keep. And I don't think that even just applies to music. I think that's just anything. If you got a passion for it, just keep banging away at it. Learn to say yes. That's another thing.
Yeah, I can see that. Something that you normally wouldn't do, and get outside your comfort zone. And
I get offered weird gigs and weird things all the time, and like I have my talk. I knock on the sky, and it's just the thing that it keeps telling me is to have patience and to say the words yes.
Well, we've got about 3 or 4 minutes left, and I see you got your guitar on your lap there.
Oh, should we try one?
Yeah.
All right, so this one's from the challenge, singer-songwriter challenge. I think the prompt word for this one was rinse. That's what we were supposed to use. So I got this. It's you can let your guard down. You can let me know. Rest in the rain, letting go. Trying to help a friend out and talk them off the edge. Hurt people again and again. Again and again. Well, there's a part of me in you. All the drinks and the friends that we've had are far too few. I'm shaking my head. Are you ready for something new? 'Cause I'm ready for you. We can set a table for two, or we can order in. The rain's always better than the damn television. So open up the window and listen to the thunder roll. Count it out loud and see how far it goes. Again and again, well, there's a part of me in you. All the drinks and the friends that we've had are far too few. And I'm shaking my head. Are you ready for something new? Well, I'm ready for you. And I'm ready for the rinsing in the rain. Letting go, letting be, letting live, let the sleeping dogs lay. Finding something beautiful, the magic in the crucible. Finding something wonderful, the trauma can't whittle away. It can't whittle away. Again and again, well, there's a part of me in you. All the drink thoughts with you. All again and again, I'm living on with you. All the drinks and the friends that we had fun with you. And I'm shaking my head. Are you ready for something new? I'm ready for you.
That was awesome. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. I love that. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being on. I gotta thank you and Neal Bond for a great
Yeah,
show.
Neal Bond was great. I listened to the whole thing. He is a really interesting dude. I'd like to sit down and pick his brain for a little bit.
Right? Well,
Yeah.
I guess the best we can do for now is watch his movies and follow him and share his links. And I guess we're gonna end the show now. Thanks for playing us out.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you to Christopher David Hanson and to Neal Bond and to all the great viewers. And of course, a shout out to my producer who does such a wonderful job. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week when we will have Matthew Mwange and Baron Ramonde. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.